Good morning. How's everybody doing? You don't know me, I might not know you. I'm Doug Meyer, one of the associate pastors. Normally they keep me kind of locked up over there in the Family Life Center, and every now and then they'll let me out, and sometimes people regret it. But I'm here to say that I survived the car crash. It is interesting, you know, as young seminarians, we go to school and we just have all these lofty aspirations of, you know, turning lives for Christ and of building churches and just, you know, things that are so godly. You never imagine that you're going to be in a parking lot when it's 103 degrees getting hit by a minivan, and that your minister of music will be at the wheel, or your minister of missions will gleefully take on that opportunity. So they just kept saying, it's all for Jesus. It's all for Jesus. It's all for Jesus. Y'all got a lot of explaining to do when my mama sees that video. Today we're going to talk about, where's Daniel Humbert? Anybody wondering where Daniel is? He survived camp, contrary to many wonderings. He's teaching the new member class. It seemed to us very important that when somebody's new and they're here and they're kind of getting to know Trietsch, it's real important to get to know the senior pastor, right? It's real important to have some face time, to see him eye to eye, face to face, and get to know, what he's all about. So he's there and I'm here. Ethos, this third week, biblical relevance, radical love, servant ministry. Servant ministry. It feels in part today kind of like preaching to the choir. You are here. I have a feeling that you have your head already kind of wrapped around what this is, this business of serving. Trietsch has a long-standing, great, rich tradition of doing that. But one of the things I want us to kind of try to do today is pull out our life from the body of Trietsch to just Doug Meyer, day in and day out. Doing life. Do I do it with an attitude of servanthood? Do I do it with, I write a check. I gave blue jeans the other day. What more could it be than that? Do you think it could be a rich and full and vibrant way of life? To the point that you don't even have to think about, gosh, you know what? I wonder if I should do something for that family. No, I bet the Baptist church will do it. Or, you know what? My friend at work seems really distraught. I wonder if I should just check on her. No, I bet somebody else will do it. It's too hot. What would happen, and what would it look like if we didn't even have that circuitry in our head that gave us the, I wonder, maybe not, well, somebody else will do it mindset? Well, this morning, I took, we'll just call it quite a few liberties in the sermon, and I kind of fancied myself a little screenwriter. And I've written what I think is an engaging little play. And Clay and Amy, if you all will come on up. Yes, give them a round of applause, please. Here, we need to pour. When you write a play, the cool thing is you get to cast yourself in whatever part you want. So Amy's the mom, Clay is the dad, and I am the young, good-looking college student. And we are at home having a conversation about this dilemma that I am in about what to do with my life. I have finished high school. I have gone down a couple different routes. I have worked really hard at Chick-fil-A, love Chick-fil-A. Have done a number of other things, but I have yet to kind of just find my thing. And I think I'm getting close to it. I've been to a couple different conversations, or had some conversations with people who kind of inclined to me a certain way. So what you're going to get to participate in is Doug Meyer's Reader's Theater, because we've had absolutely no rehearsal. That's also the magic of doing this. I'm not exaggerating. Amy said, when are we going to get our script? And I said, about 9:31. So here we are at home. Here we go. Mom and Dad, I decided what I'm going to do with my life. I'm so excited. I'm going to pursue a major in faithful Christian living.
Can you make a living doing this?
But, honey, I thought you were going to be a doctor just like your dad.
Guys, I've been giving it a lot of thought. I've looked over my choices. I've talked to a lot of my friends. Here's some of the majors my friends have. Sam is doing what they call hedonistic living. I'm not really sure what that is. My other friend is doing this program called self-absorbed living. Then somebody else is doing tuned out living. My real good friend is doing something called classic consumerism. I just feel in my heart that Christian living is what I'm called to do. And before you guys get all worried, I've gone to a bunch of orientations on this. And what they tell me is whatever major I pick, the curriculum complements all the other fields of study. That I can still be a doctor and major in Christian living. Go figure.
It would be nice to have someone holy in the family. And maybe you can put in a good word for the rest of us every now and then.
Ooh, it would sure help our standing in the community.
Does it come with any perks?
I will need to get all new clothes if this means I have to go to church more often.
This isn't some radical living type thing, with tattoos and piercings, is it?
Well, I can't promise you about the tattoos and piercings. That's a whole other thing. But when I went to this orientation the other day, the instructor prepared us for conversations like this. And he said, take out your family Bible. Well, right then I said, well, we don't have a family Bible. So they gave us a Bible. And he said, turn to Mark 10. And he said that whoever was in church with you would have a Bible, and they would turn to Mark 10. Turn to Mark 10. Or watch the screens. And listen now to a conversation with Jesus, James, and John. The word of the Lord from Mark 10. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came forward to him and said to him, Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you. And he said to them, what is it you want me to do for you? And they said to him, grant us to sit, one at your right hand and the other at your left, in your glory. But Jesus said to them, you do not know what you're asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? They replied, we are able. Then Jesus said to them, the cup that I drink, you will drink. And with the baptism with which I'm baptized, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or at my left is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared. When the 10 heard this, they began to be angry with James and John. So Jesus called them and said to them, you know that among the Gentiles, those whom they recognize as their rulers lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. But it is not so among you. But whoever wishes to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be slave of all. For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. So did that make sense? Did y'all get that?
It sounds to me like that dang James and John when it messed it up for everybody. If they and their mama had just kept their mouths shut.
I'm sure they were nice boys. Their mama was just looking out for them. I don't blame her for asking.
Y'all, I think you missed the point. Slave, servant, take care of other people. All right, they said now, if that still didn't convince you all, that we should read to you Matthew 25, and that you would really get it after that. So everyone turned in the class to Matthew 25, verse 31. All right, Mom, Dad, are y'all ready to follow along?
I suppose.
Listen up. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate people one from another as a shepherd separates sheep from the goats. And he will put the sheep at his right hand and the goats at his left. Then the king will say to those at his right hand, come, you that are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry. Now y'all listen, this is a really important part. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you gave me clothing. I was sick and you took care of me. I was in prison and you visited me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison? And the king will answer them, truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these who are members of my family, you did it to me. Okay, do y'all get that now?
Oh, honey, I'm just not sure about this. It sounds dangerous.
Mom.
I can already tell you what they're up to. They're trying to sucker you into some do-gooder commune.
Oh. Okay, well, maybe I could just see if they have a minor in this program. You know, But I really think I'm ready for this kind of commitment. If we had questions and doubts after these 2 verses, the instructor said to Google places in your community that are doing this, to type in keywords like care and love and hunger and clothing and support. So I did that, and I found a place just down the street. I think I'm going to go talk to them and see if I can do my internship there. Let me read to y'all some of the things they do at this place. It's amazing. As a matter of fact, it's just right down the street. It's here in Flower Mound. Okay, here's what it says on their website. They, all summer long, they feed kids who are low income, whatever that means, and they do it all summer long because these kids don't get lunch. Isn't that nice? I think that's sweet. Yeah. They also go to another place for a week and read with kids who need help with their reading skills. I don't know that I'm a good one for that. But it says during spring break even, they take teenagers to far off places and work on other people's houses. I don't know about that. Then they do this thing where they host a week-long camp for kids on the other side of town who don't get to do a whole lot of cool, neat, fun stuff like all those camps you send my sister and I to all summer long. They bring them to their church and let them do that. Isn't that cool? Then they do this thing called Habitat for Humanity. They go up to Denton and they do this program called Our Daily Bread where they feed people. They even send people way off to countries like Africa and Nicaragua. When they're not doing all that do good stuff, then they go to hospitals, they go to prisons, they go to nursing homes. You know, it seems like a place where I could really learn a lot about this Christian living, this whole servant business. What do you think?
Honey, we're very interested, and we just want you to do a little more research. Can you talk to one of those Christian living do-gooders?
Well,
I want you to find out if it's dangerous.
Okay.
And if there are any contracts they make you sign.
Right, yeah.
And whatever you do, don't give them your driver's license number or your credit card information.
Well, I've already beat y'all to the punch. I went and sat down with one of these, well, what do y'all calling them? Do-gooders. A guy named Mr. Mike DeFord. Now, he's kind of an old guy, but he has agreed to come over and visit with y'all and answer any questions you might have. Mr. DeFord, are you here? Well, look, he just happened to be in the neighborhood.
Isn't that nice?
Isn't that handy?
That is so nice.
That's very thoughtful of him. Now, he goes up. Help me out here, Mr. DeFord, if I get this wrong. You go up every Wednesday, rain or shine, and work with hungry people at Our Daily Bread. Why don't
you take this mic.
Why don't you tell the people about it?
Gene and I, we come from families of volunteers, and my dad's volunteered a lot in his life, so volunteering is not as strange for me to do. We were both lucky enough to retire at age 55, and that's when our volunteering really took off. And I was fortunate enough to find Our Daily Bread up in Denton. It's run by St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. When I first went 5 years ago, they served about 75 people a day, and we truly had soup and a sandwich. Today, we serve over 200 every day, Monday through Friday. They give out snack packs on Friday so the people can have a little something over the weekend. And they're growing more and more like what CCA is. They have a doctor that comes in. They have medical supplies to give out. They give out clothing and blankets in winter. And we've gone from soup and sandwiches to, like last Wednesday, we had steak, roasted cauliflower, Spanish rice, fresh fruit, all chopped, seasoned, and cooked that day. Everything's fresh. And the love you see given back to you is so great. And there's a fellow there that's been there since day one. He's a client. He goes by the name of Wolf. Wolf is one of the happiest guys you'll ever meet in your life. You can tell he has a little challenges, but he's there every day. He kind of volunteers too, even though he's a client. And he always is so thankful and appreciative of the work we do as volunteers to help feed him. And he thanks us over and over and over, each and every day, and he thanks God. And this is quite remarkable because Wolf literally lives in a tent on the outside of Denton. Rain, shine, snow, heat. He lives in a tent. A couple of months ago, through Our Daily Bread, they were able to get him to an apartment in assisted living area. And he's so thankful, and he thanks us, and he praises God. And to see that Christian feeling come through him to us really helps me in my Christian life and volunteering. And I just stop and think, if you weren't volunteering and being part of your neighbors' lives, if we didn't have volunteers, there wouldn't be any band today, there wouldn't be any ushers. If you've got kids in Sunday school, they'd be in your lap because there'd be no Sunday school teachers. So to really show how to live a Christian life, learn to volunteer. It's a great, great experience. I know it's tough when you're working. Gina and I, early in our lives, we volunteered at CCA and here at Trietsch, but since retirement, we've really, really expounded our volunteer horizons. And there's no greater feeling and no greater way to express your Christian life than to volunteer and be an example of Christ and be the hands and feet of Christ.
Well, thank you, Mr. Do-Gooder. You know, we've had a little bit of fun, or that was the goal anyway, to talk about this whole notion of servant ministry. And you know, I wonder if we can't just take that word out and just call it just doing life with our neighbors. We all know, we've talked about it now for a couple of weeks, through biblical relevance, through radical love, our neighbors. We are our neighbors. To your right and to your left, behind and in front of you, those are your neighbors, right? Jesus said, love your neighbor. It gets a little more involved in that. It's those people that we have to put up with on I-35 in the heat of the day. It's the person who can't quite get our order fast enough. That's our neighbor. It's the person who moved into the house next door to us, and we're meaning to get to know them. Now it's been a year, but we're still meaning, right, to get to know them. It's folks who live on the other side of Louisville and all the way up to Denton and over by the lake and, well, over that yonder way. But it's how we do life, uniquely and distinctly, day in and day out. To me, it kind of sounds like breathing and walking. It shouldn't be something that we have to sit down and go, you know, I don't really know. Well, yeah, we do know. We know deep down. I'm convinced we do. It's about choice. Every day, everything we do, I believe, is about choices we make. So the question I have, and we all have, is what are the choices we who make up this family we call Trietsch going to make? How are we going to be unique and distinct in the community? We have a wonderful long heritage of doing that. But I wonder what that might look like in the future. You know, all you got to do is look around and see that fewer and fewer people make a choice on Sunday morning to come to worship. Well, what would happen if in this mode of servant mentality, we took church to them? Instead of continuing to just holler from the mountaintops, come to church, tell me how that's working out. Well, you can see the answer right over in these big empty pews, can't you? Perhaps what we're called to do is boldly take the love of Christ, not hitting people over the head with the Bible, but meeting them where they are. Are they hungry? Are they hot? Do they need somebody to just sit and listen to the stuff of their life? I think that's what it means today for the church to be involved in servant ministry. We have opportunities out our ears. We didn't collect blue jeans during Vacation Bible School, but we're about to collect them now. There's probably not a family here who can't swing by and pick up a pair of blue jeans and bring them back to church in a couple of weeks. But the stakes are going to get a little bit higher. We are in the beginning phases of looking at adopting a school. Now, you know, our first inclination is to adopt a school that all of our kids go to so that we can continue to love and hover over them like we always have. Well, that's not quite what this is going to be about. This is going to be about a school here in the Louisville, Flower Mound, Highland Village area that has needs that the families whose kids there can't necessarily meet. We're going to look at some mentoring programs. We're going to look at some tutoring programs. It's probably a good 6 months off because when we do it, we're going to Trietchize it, which means we're going to do it really, really well. And we want to have our act together before we go and do that. I invite you to sit down as a family, whatever your family looks like, And think about, what does it mean where you live, your house, your apartment, to be a servant to those you do life with? Let's pray. Holy God, we thank you, we think, for the challenges that you put before us in this whole thing called servant living. It is daunting, it is big, it is scary, yet somewhere deep down in our gut, we know that it is that which we are supposed to do. It is that to which we are called to do. It is that which feeds us at our depths. Lead and guide us, O God, into these uncertain times as we seek to build your kingdom with you. In your name we pray. Amen.